So if for some reason you haven't figured it out yet, this week's movie is the 1968 sci-fi classic, Planet of the Apes. It was directed by Franklin Schaffner. It's based on a novel by Pierre Boulle. The original screenplay was written by Rod Serling, but the main screenplay credit goes to Michael Wilson. The cast of this movie includes Charlton Heston as George Taylor, one of the astronauts. Roddy McDowall plays the ape Cornelius. Kim Hunter plays Zira. Maurice Evans plays the iconic Dr. Zaius. James Whitmore is the president of the Ape Assembly. You have Linda Harrison as Nova. And the storyline is a crew of astronauts crash land on a planet where apes can talk and are the controlling species, and humans are the silent, enslaved members of the planet. Some people might think this movie is cheesy by today's standards, and it sort of does take itself tongue-in-cheek at times to make the subject matter not too serious. But I can't stress enough how absolutely shocking and astonishing this movie was when it came out in 1968. The makeup used to make the apes in this movie was groundbreaking at the time, and the budget for the makeup was 17% of the budget of this movie. And at the end, the reveal that happens at the end of this movie was, if you were in an audience during that time watching this in the movie theater, you would hear people visibly gasp at what was shown at the end of this movie. The production budget of Planet of the Apes was also below $6 million, which was a lot for the late 60s for a production budget, but it made over $32 million, which was a huge gross for that time. This movie, for the most part, was filmed, at least the outdoor scenes, in the American Southwest, Page, Arizona, Lake Powell, Utah, and it was filmed during the summer months, during the hottest times during that. And the people who were in the ape costumes got the brunt of that, although Charlton Heston was nude for, well, nearly nude for most of the movie, and he has said it was no picnic for him either, filming in those conditions. But you also have filming taking place in Malibu, California. Ape City is actually in Malibu Creek State Park. The final scenes were filmed at Zuma Beach in Malibu, California as well. But like the outside desert scenes, the crash scenes, the walking in the desert scenes, all filmed in Utah and Arizona during the hottest months of the year. And they learned their lesson. There are 4 sequels to this movie. And all of the sequels were filmed during the winter months instead of the summer months. For the Oscars, Planet of the Apes was nominated for Best Costume Design and Best Original Score for Jerry Goldsmith's score. It didn't win either of those, but it was presented an honorary Oscar for John Chambers for his prosthetic makeup techniques because it was so groundbreaking. In 2001, this Planet of the Apes was chosen by the Library of Congress for preservation and the National Film Registry because it's culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Also, besides the 4 movies that came along, the 4 sequels that came along with this movie, it also launched a television series briefly, an animated series, and comic books. And this was one of the first movies to capitalize on merchandising with lunchboxes and action figures and everything like that. A lot of us think Star Wars was the first movie that did this, but Planet of the Apes did it 9 years before. The critical response in 1968 to Planet of the Apes was also enormous. It was a huge critical hit. It was rated one of the best movies to come out in 1968. It was lauded for its imagination and commentary on the possible world turned upside down scenario. Pauline Kael said it was one of the most entertaining science fiction fantasies ever to come out of Hollywood. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars and said it was much better than he thought it could be. It was quick-paced, completely entertaining, and the philosophical pretensions don't get in the way of it being a fun movie. And speaking of quick-paced, this does come in at under 2 hours, which I know everybody likes an under 2-hour movie. Arthur Murphy of Variety called it an amazing film, although at times he thought the script digressed into lower comedy. Richard Coe of the Washington Post called it amusing and unusually engrossing picture. So it not only was a box office hit that was loved by audiences, it was loved by critics as well, which sometimes is a unique venture. This movie is also responsible for one of the best quotes in movie history when Charlton Heston says, "Get your stinking paws off of me, you damn dirty apes." And remember, Charlton Heston had the flu through most of filming. They did not shut down production. He was still able to work, but they thought his raspy voice created by the flu actually added to the character, because for a portion of the movie he isn't able to speak, and those are the first words he speaks to the apes, who are shocked to hear a human can speak. Also, for a movie called Planet of the Apes, you see no apes in this movie until 30 minutes into the runtime. There is a scene in the movie where they capitalize on see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, that image of the apes covering their eyes, ears, and mouth that was shot. And originally, this was not supposed to be in the movie. It was kind of filmed as a joke, but it got included in the final film because it was included in test screenings, and the audience had such a good reaction to it that's how it made it into the final cut. In the end, if you have never seen Planet of the Apes, especially with the new one coming out of the new series that launched in this century, you should definitely check out the original Planet of the Apes. It is a legendary movie. It was groundbreaking for its time. You might find the effects dated, but as I have said several times, think of it as a period piece. Think of it in 1967 when they filmed it, 1968 when it came out. How groundbreaking it would be to see this in the movie theater. This had never been done before to this scale. It was, like I said, legendary and shocking when it came out. So give 1968's Planet of the Apes a watch. If you haven't seen it in a long time, watch it again. See if you won't get the shock value anymore of what happens in it, but it is one that can be watched over and over again. To my estimation, you should watch it every, give it a if it's been over 10 years since you've watched this movie, give it a shot again. Watch it and see if you think it still holds up. So if you don't know, my name is Stacia, and this is my little corner of the internet. I just like movies, and I like talking about movies, and I like when you guys interact with me. I like when you guys comment, even if you don't agree with my take. Tell me what you hated about the film. Tell me what you liked about the film. Or if you have any other tidbits of information you'd like to share. I love that too. But you know, this is a small channel, slowly growing. We're almost to 240 subscribers, and I look forward to getting more. This year I set a goal of trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, which if you would like to help me out by subscribing to this channel, I would absolutely love that. But thank you again for joining us. And as I say, I love you all. Bye. See you next time.